All right, so for questions 47 and 48, it's the arithmetic or the algebra, of functions. And the notation is a little weird because they have like f plus g parentheses and then parentheses x. But the parentheses around the x is just in the same way that we put parentheses around the x when we talk about f. So they're just talking about this whole function f plus g, and that is of x. So for all intents and purposes, when you see this f plus g notation, parentheses x, you can pretty much ignore the parentheses x just like you ignore the parentheses around the x for f of x and focus on finding the f plus g or whatever is in that first parentheses. So the addition, subtraction, and multiplication, division, they're pretty straightforward. The one thing you want to be really careful about, though, of course, with the subtraction of two functions is that you distribute the negative to the whole g of x function or whatever function is being subtracted off. So what I always do for these questions, regardless, is I'll put the parentheses when I substitute in the f function. So here I have f plus g, so I substitute in the f of x definition. And then plus, because we're told to add the two functions together. And then I'll also put parentheses around the g just because I'm substituting in. Now, when you're talking about addition, obviously, like there's nothing to distribute there. So you're done, and you would just say, okay, this is 9 minus 7x minus 2x squared plus 7. Combine the 7 and the 9 together to get 16. That is your algebra function, adding those two functions together. But of course, when you have a minus sign, you do want to be careful about that. So if it was f minus g, again, I would put the parentheses to say I'm substituting 9 minus 7x in for f, minus, and then put the parentheses around g, negative 2x squared plus 7. Okay, and then that parentheses there does play a role now because we need to distribute this negative to all of the function that follows, the g of x function. So this would become 9 minus 7x. The negative becomes a plus, 2x squared, and then minus 7. So combining your terms, you would get the 9 minus 7 would give you a 2 plus 2, and then 2x squared minus 7x. And I rearrange those from highest to lowest just because that's kind of like the knee-jerk reaction I have always from highest to lowest. But you could technically write negative 7x plus 2x squared plus 2, and that, of course, would be the same thing. Now, if you had multiplication of the two functions, then you would just take fg parentheses x. And so you would have 9 minus 7x in parentheses multiplied by the g of x function, which is negative 2x squared plus 7, and then FOIL everything out. So this would become negative 18x squared, and then plus 63 for the outer. Inner would be a plus 14x to the third, and then the last two minus 49x. Then when you look at this, there aren't any like terms to combine, so you are good to go, and that would be your final answer. Now, for division, it's very easy to go too far on division of two functions. So in this case, like all you are going to do is you're going to plug in the f function, you're going to plug in the g function, and just keep in mind you cannot cancel through division or cross out through division unless you have multiplication. So this x and this x cannot cross out because they are not factors, and that is due to this addition sign and this subtraction sign. So that would be your final answer for the division of two f divided by g. Okay, so the takeaway from all of this, when you start to see all these extra parentheses x, all you do is look inside of that parenthesis. That tells you the operation, and then put parentheses around the whole f function, the whole g function, and then simplify from there.